Kaumir Omo, Yakwe, Ali, Talofa. Hello, I'm Laura and I'm your instructor for this module. This module will be 2 episodes on the introduction to customer analysis. Today, we're going to talk about customer acquisition. What is customer acquisition? What are the acquisition conditions, the acquisition techniques, creation, application, and then a conclusion to wrap everything up. Let's go. What is customer acquisition? Well, first, what is it? Secondly, it's a communication goal. Thirdly, it's always part of a larger vision for your operations and your business. And fourthly, acquisition is a process. What is customer acquisition? Well, the purpose is to attract new customers, to generate more traffic to your island, to your company, to the services you are providing. You're going to attract new customers by the art of persuasion. How can you do that? We start from the core, and the core is the unique selling proposition, or USP in business jargon, and this means that what makes you unique and what makes your business relevant. What is something you can do that others cannot do? And it doesn't have to be something outlandish. It can be that you're just so friendly and so kind and so warm-hearted that people flock around your business just to get a bit of that atmosphere of hospitality. So it can be a lot of things. You can attract new customers by a wide array of strategies. Through customer referrals, this means that other customers refer other customers to you because you have delivered such a great good or service that they start doing the word of mouth thing. They start talking about it and other people want to experience or have what they had. Then you have also a component that is loyalty programs. That's not necessary to have, but if you want to look up into that, it can be useful. Also, collaborations with other service providers, for example, packages deals, or sometimes certain excursion providers, for example, boat trips or adventurous hikes or beach sports type of things. They work together with hotels or bread and breakfasts, and they're going to collaborate so that traffic from the one generates traffic to the other. And with traffic, I mean a steady stream of customers. A very important thing, and it is something that has gained traction the last few years, and I'm really a fan of it because it is so true. It is showing up authentically, showing up consistently and authentically, showing your potential or actual customers. Who are you? What is the soul of your business? What makes your business stand out from the rest? And it doesn't have to be because your business is the most fancy, or, well, if it is, then very good. I'm all in for that. And sometimes it can just be that you're so authentically yourself in your passion for providing a good service, to provide decent and professional work, that authenticity makes people melt their heart. And if you have, for example, like a service day that wasn't that good, people will forgive you because you are authentically in yourself, and they feel sympathy. So that is a very important component. What makes you unique? Showing up authentically? Let's dive deeper into that. Well, we can divide it between your organization, your business, or your market position. What is so special about it? And secondly, your personality as a business owner, as an employee, as a freelancer, as a government official. It doesn't really matter what your position is in this entire setting of tourism industry. What does matter is your personality. Why? Because the hospitality industry is something between humans, and humans have interactions, and interactions lead to emotions, sensations, to experiences. And if you have a great or interesting or warm personality, that really rubs off on your organization. So it doesn't matter if you're under at the ladder of a company, for example, or if you're the CEO. What matters is that you have a good personality and that you show up authentically and that you show that authenticity, because there is so many fakeness in the world, and people really crave trueness, trustworthiness, authenticity. So this is a very important feature to look for yourself. Okay, what makes me stand out from the rest, and what do I have to offer that is special? Let's take it at a broader perspective. What makes your island unique? The geography, the culture, the various habits, traditions, maybe festivals that can attract visitors, or what I liked, for example, in Hawaii and French Polynesia was certain type of dances and music and storytelling, the mythology, learning about that, all that kind of stuff, like stories about ancestors, the history, how you keep that alive through the art that is available in your island, or the certain type of customs or rituals or type of food. That all is so important, and that makes you unique as an island 100%. And that is something that visitors crave to experience. People want to feel that deeper connection to the soil that they are visiting. And since you are part of remote islands that really speak to the imagination of people, it is very important to bring this culture out and not try to be something you are not, because your power and your strength lies in what makes you you. A component related to this is also the vibe and the atmosphere in your islands. Is it vibrant? Is it laid back? Is it easygoing? Is it hectic and frantic and stressed? Or is it rigid? Or is it smooth? All those things are going to have an influence on what type of visitors are going to feel attracted by your island, but also how visitors are going to behave on your island. So the vibe and the atmosphere is such an important thing, and it has to do with energy. In Polynesia, they call it mana, the supernatural powers of the island. And I must say, when you visit Polynesia, you can really feel that. And it's something that the Pacific Islands have in common, that is their strength in my view, because you have other very paradise-like islands. For example, the Seychelles, Réunion, Île Maurice, Guadeloupe, Saint Lucia in the Caribbean. But there is something, a special flavor to the Pacific islands, and it has to do with this, yeah, the vibe and the atmosphere and the heritage of the culture that is so deeply embedded that I cannot stress it enough. It's your strength, it's your power, it's your force as island nations, as a culture. It's so diverse, but it's something that is so unique that use it, like bring it out to the world, share it with the world, and don't let it fade away for nothing, because this is priceless. Linked to culture, and one of my personal favorites is food. Food speaks to our soul. Food is not only nourishment, but food is tradition, food is sharing. And people that are visiting your island, they want to experience it. They want to experience local ingredients, traditional techniques of cooking, special ways of seasoning, for example. And lastly, what makes your island unique to human element? You that are taking this course, your factor is very important in this equation. The human element, well, I have to refer to my Latin American heritage, and we have a word for that, and we call it calor humano, human warmth, if we translate it literally, but it goes deeper. It goes to a deep interpersonal bonding. The calor humano is something that you cannot grasp, but when it lacks, you feel something is off. And sometimes if you go to places that are very industrial, very built with lots of like skyscrapers, and where all the natural and human elements are stripped away from, we can feel a very cold sensation. And that is something that in the Pacific Islands you will never have. You have the calor humano, you have the human warmth, the friendliness, the kindness, the respect, the values, the codes of honor, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the female power, the male warrior. You have all these things in the Pacific Islands, and this is so important, and this will be a key component of the cross-cultural connection between your visitors and you. So when your visitors come to you, you will have the opportunity as a service or goods provider to learn certain things about them, to interact with people from all over the world, and that is such an enriching experience for your mind and for your soul. But they as well, when they leave your island again, a bit of your island stays in them, the memories in their head, the experience that they have had, and hopefully the wonderful memories that will keep lingering on for a long time after they have returned home. Those all makes a cross-cultural connection. That is something, one of my pet peeves, probably because I'm a person that comes from two cultural backgrounds. I think trying to understand the differences and the likenesses between different cultures is a key component in this globalized world. P.S. You can always contact me if you want to know more about this, because I can go very structured and strategic into this. Then you can establish a bond. A bond is only possible between humans. You cannot establish a bond between an object and another object. No, you need to be human to human. And the human element is space and time independent. It means that also in your marketing efforts, for example, your website or your social media account or all that type of things, the emails you do with your customers or with the travel agents, you leave some traces of your human component in there. And that is something important to know, that the human component is so much wider than just the face-to-face interaction. Here we're doing a video tutorial, but there's also a human element. I'm trying to share my skills and my expertise with you, and you're listening carefully and trying to grasp as much as possible, to ingest as much as knowledge as possible. So there's a very clear human element to that. The human element will make every visitor a potential ambassador for the future. And this is something groundbreaking. Why? Being a tiny island nation, it makes you not having like big diplomatic missions in every single country of the world, and it's not possible. It's not like the US embassy or the French embassy, stuff like that. They have tons of people working there, so it's a machinery that keeps on working. But if you're a small island, you have little human resources to allocate to that. So the experience that you give on your island has the potential to be spread throughout the world through the positive experience that visitors have had on your island. So their word of mouth, their ravishing reviews about your service, your goods, your island, that will linger on for a very long time. So that is very important to keep in mind. Your visitor will be a potential ambassador for the future. What is customer acquisition? Well, it is a communication goal. A communication strategy, every business has a communication strategy because you have to communicate what you are doing, what you are providing, and acquiring a specific type of visitor is a key element in every communication strategy. If you are selling very adventurous hiking tours in a mountainous area or in rocky coastal plains, for example, families with small children are probably not your target audience. So for your service, you want to acquire as much as fit and strong and people with a decent condition of a certain age to buy your adventurous hiking tours. So that's why it is a key element in every communication strategy. You have to create a need and brand awareness. And even on a country level, every country is a brand. Look at, for example, France. Even at times where France is not doing so great on an economic or social stage, it still has a super strong brand. The Eiffel Tower, the City of Love in France, the fashion, the food, the gastronomy, the special regions, that is a brand that is so valuable. And it's very important for your islands and for your business to look, okay, what is our brand? What type of lifestyle, what type of spirit are we selling to the world? Back to nature, or very relaxed, or very laid back, or very in tune with how life should be, not so complicated with all types of machinery or modern things, but really going back to basics. Maybe it's that. So it's a good way to assess what is your brand and be aware of that so you can communicate that. So this leads to brand knowledge. With all that, you're going to influence behavior of your customer. And there comes also practical information from that you gather in that interaction with your customer. And in the end, this will lead to customer satisfaction, and that is the ultimate goal, right? Customer acquisition is part of a larger vision. You cannot do customer acquisition actions in isolation from other aspects of your operations. This means that you cannot try to gather new customers just like very scattered. No. If you have a certain type of strategy, you can link those two strategies together, but it's rather pointless or a bad allocation of resources or of people and of time if you just operate in a very scattered way. So I'm all in for focus, razor sharp, laser vision. The acquisition actions are an integral part of your policy vision. So the company or your island or you as a service provider, you have a policy vision. Even if you don't know you have it, you have one. So how you see your business will influence how you're going to try to attract new customers. And there are long-term and there are short-term goals. So there's a very important differentiation there. Acquisition is a process. So what do I mean with that? A holiday, especially a long holiday that involves several airplanes or one airplane of several hours, it is something that most people are not going to buy on impulse. So a holiday is almost never booked on impulse unless it's a elopement wedding or a last minute getaway city break, or you're so fed up and tired and you're going to book yourself away for a week from everything. But those are really small parts. In the majority of times, a holiday will be something people have been thinking about for a very long time. So a holiday is almost never booked on impulse, let alone a trip to a far away Pacific island paradise. In that process, the process can be quite lengthy, so you have to dedicate attention to that, not a one-time lucky shot. No, dedicated attention. You have to gather the interest of the potential customer. You have to open up a bottle inside of them of desire. They need to want to visit your island, and that desire will lead to an action, like clicking that button, hit buy that plane ticket, book that hotel, book that excursion, make that restaurant reservation. All those things are coming from attention, interest, desire, and action. The bottom line from all this is people are people, and you have to appeal to primal instincts and emotions. Humans, and especially if it's holiday related, people are in a total different mood and mindset. When people are relaxed, they will order that extra drink for sure. They will order that extra dessert, or they will book that extra excursion, or they will try to do something they have never done before. Why? Because on a holiday, most people that have been working hard or have been living a life in a certain setting, they get in tune more with their relaxed state of being, and this brings them in tune to their primal instincts and emotions. And that's something you, as a goods or service provider, can dig deeper into that and use that to your advantage. Why? Rest is as needed for life just as is action. The balance of life means rest, recovery, and action going forward. Most people abroad live a very fast-paced life. And when people go on a holiday, they want to escape that. So the last thing they want is when they go on a holiday is having to be at a frantic pace, and now this and then that, and go this and look at that. And no. Most people that come from a very fast-paced daily life, they want to breathe out, calm down, relax, recharge, do some activities that sports, for example, that will give them strength, or have a few drinks and a good time, eat delicious food, have meaningful conversations. All those things are the things that people dream of and crave when they are living a very fast-paced life. Most people abroad live in a concrete jungle. This means in an endless row of skyscrapers or in a very gray and dull environment, whereas you live surrounded by blue ocean. You have a lot of nature. That is what most people don't really experience in their daily life. Or if they have nature, for example, give an example of Europe, nature is very polished. There are nothing like mother forests anymore. Everything is almost man-made. So the cities, they are full of buildings. You have parks, sidewalk trees, balconies, and courtyard gardens to bring a bit of natural elements, but still that is all man-made. And the countryside, nature is mostly made, so it's constructed, for example, agricultural fields. It's also almost always touched by humans. When you have agricultural fields or orchards or gardens, there's always someone that has done that, and that raw, beautiful nature, it's very difficult to really find, so that is really unique to your islands. Access to nature is a primal human need. This means that nature is replenishing, recharging, and healing. When people go on a holiday, they want to have access to that. So nature preservation is something so important. And not only now that you have global warming, but that the world is getting more densely populated and you have more migration streams. This means that we have to preserve what we have of our natural resources, of the beautiful surroundings, because in the tourism industry, those are very valuable components to nourish. Being in nature brings people positive emotions. In Japanese, there's a terminology for that. They call it Shinrin-yoku, and it means forest bathing. And so in Japan, what they do is they have large parks. People go and walk underneath those trees, and they call it forest bathing because just by walking underneath those trees, it recharges them. It just gives them fresh air. It's the sound of the leaves and the birds, and that all just makes you recharge your energetic batteries. And most people that live in concrete jungles or have to work behind computers all day in an office, they crave for that. So it really brings them positive and happy emotions. Okay, what are the acquisition conditions? Know your target audience. Mark out your vision and goals. Make hard choices. You have to choose. You cannot allocate your resources to every single potential customer out there. So you will have to make hard choices. So prepare for that. It's also needed to provoke a reaction. If, for example, you have a website, or you're presenting yourself as an island or as a company or as a freelancer or as a service provider, if people are like, meh, so it's not good, or it's bad, when it's really gray, then you're not really provoking a reaction. Of course, we don't want to provoke a negative reaction, but if you can provoke a positive reaction, that means that that person is very likely to buy something. Here comes also that all those efforts are important, but you have to reach your target audience. So not just like doing actions crisscross along the way, but very targeted so that you can reach the customers you want. So for this thing, know your target audience. I have a very good exercise. I have this exercise I've done it in a creative writing class, but also in a marketing class. So it's something that really has brought traction. It means like imagine your audience through an avatar. An avatar is a fictional character that doesn't exist but reflects a potential customer. So you're going to imagine who is that potential customer? Where does the customer come from? What does the customer enjoy? What does the customer do? What does the customer hope to experience, to acquire, to live through when they're at your island? This will be the exercise. So, what I'm going to ask is that after this slide, you're going to pause the presentation. You're going to put a timer. If you don't have a timer, you just look on the clock on your computer, and it's only 10 minutes, it's max 10 minutes exercise. Why? We have to let the stream of creativity come out, and we don't want to constrain it. So if you put half an hour, that's too long. So maximum 10 minutes. Grab something to write. So leave the presentation as it is and just grab a scrap of paper or a notebook or anything. Just grab something, a napkin, I don't know, something to write. Imagine your avatar and be as specific as possible. Okay, set your timer. You're going to pause the presentation, and I'm just going to give you an example here so you know what I mean. So like, take this picture. This is me on Morea with a piece of turmeric because I really love cooking. I love herbs and spices. I love medicinal cuisine. I think nature has a lot of healing power. I have this from my grandma in Colombia. She had herbal remedies for everything. And so this could be an avatar. I'm going to give an example. So who is this person? You're going to imagine, okay, my target audience would be like a young woman. You can even imagine how the person looks like, what type of clothes does the person wear, expensive, non-expensive, laid back, a t-shirt, a beautiful dress, very polished look, or very like a surfer, or up to you. Where does the person live? At a coastal town in Australia, in a big city in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, in Latin America, or in Berlin, in Germany. You can think about anything. What does the person enjoy? Maybe Mrs. Lee enjoys like steamed dumplings, for example. Or what does the person want to do? What does the person does on a holiday? Like, try to imagine the person wakes up on your island as a tourist, and what is that the person wants to do? Maybe a morning meditation, maybe a beach walk, maybe turn around in bed and just sleep a bit longer, maybe be the first one to have all the options at the breakfast. Just go as specific and in-depth as possible. And what does that person hope? For example, me here with the turmeric that I bought, what do I hope to do? Well, I wanted to brew some tea with it. So what does the person hope to acquire or experience with the goods or services you are providing? So be very specific. So like, imagine someone, age, anything. So now you're going to pause the presentation, set the timer, maximum 10 minutes, and if you're finished earlier, that's good, but at 10 minutes you stop and you will continue with the second part. Okay? Go.